Welcome back to Harriet's Above Ground Railroad YouTube channel. My name is Anthony Ross, and I'm the president and CEO of the Harriet Tubman Ross Foundation. The purpose of this channel is to take the viewer on a journey through the true history of slavery from the beginning to present, and also to increase your knowledge and understanding of systemic racism. There will also be a link below that I would encourage you to click to the Harriet Tubman Ross Foundation. And also, since this is the sixth video in the series, and if you just happen to be joining us on video number 6, I want to explain how this series works again. So basically what I will do is I will share with you the year of the event. I will share with you the region that the event takes place in, and then I will provide relevant facts as it relates to the year and the region. And also, if you haven't checked out the first video, I would encourage you to do so, but also be aware that the video starts in 1492. By no means am I saying that the history of slavery started in 1492 or history of Black Africans started in that time. I would encourage you to do some research, and I am planning to have a video series that will focus on events prior to that. But for the sake of this project and not making it overwhelming for myself, I decided to start with 1492. Okay, so I'll start the video off the way that I always do, and I have 3 questions that I always pose. So the first question is this: why was this group targeted to be enslaved worldwide, and why were they made to continue to suffer? Why did the rest of the world accept this behavior? Governments, rulers, and religions. And lastly, why don't people realize the present day effects on these people? So with that, we'll jump into the video. 1820, New York City. The Mayflower of Liberia, a ship, sails for the west coast of Africa, Sierra Leone, with 86 blacks aboard. 1821, New York. The State Constitutional Convention alters the voting requirements of the 1777 New York Convention by establishing higher property and longer resident requirements for blacks. 1821, New York City. Founding of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, with James Zurich as its first bishop. 1821, New York. The African Company performed Shakespeare in a theater on Mercer Street. 1822, Charleston, South Carolina. Betrayal of the Denmark Versailles conspiracy, one of the most elaborate on record. Versailles, a sailor and carpenter, and 36 collaborators are hanged. An additional 130 blacks and 4 whites are arrested, and stricter controls are imposed on free blacks and slaves. Following this insurrection, South Carolina and other slave states adopts laws and policies that further restrict the mobility and education of blacks. 1822, Western Africa. Liberia is founded by blacks of the American Colonization Society. 1822, Rhode Island. Free blacks are disenfranchised. 1823, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. U.S. Circuit Court declares that removal of a slave to a free state bestows freedom, and that malicious, cruel, or inhumane treatment of a slave is an indictable offense of a common law. 1823, Mississippi. Laws prohibiting teaching of reading and writing to blacks and meetings of more than 5 slaves or free blacks is enacted. 1824, the United States. As the country moves towards universal male suffrage, more states in the North and West, as well as the South, move to deny the votes to blacks. Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Michigan require blacks to post bond and guarantee of good behavior. 1825, Maryland. Josiah Henson, prototype for the original Uncle Tom, leads a group of slaves to freedom in Kentucky. Henson later crosses the border into Ontario, Canada, and becomes leader of a community of ex-slaves. 1826, London. Frederick Ira Aldrich, a black actor born in New York City and educated in the American Free School, makes his London debut playing Othello at the Royal Theatre. Aldrich is later acclaimed in Europe as one of the great actors of the 19th century. 1826, Virginia. Thomas Jefferson's will frees only 5 of his many slaves, the remainder being bequeathed to heirs. 1827, New York City. Freedom's Journal, the first black newspaper, begins publication on March 16th. States the publication, "In the spirit of candor and humility, we intend to lay our case before the public with a view to arrest the progress of prejudice and to shield ourselves against its consequent evils." 1827, New York. Slavery is abolished in the New York State on July 4th. 10,000 are freed. 1828, Bennington, Vermont. William Lloyd Garrison begins attacks on slavery and the National Philanthropist. 1829, Cincinnati. After a riot in which whites attacked blacks residents and loot and burn their homes, 1,200 blacks flee to Canada. 1829, Boston. Publication by David Walker, a free black, of a militant anti-slavery pamphlet, An Appeal to the Colored People of the World, which is distributed throughout the country and arouses a furor among slaveholders. 1830, North Carolina. Masters, fearing violation of state law, manumit more than 400 slaves to Quaker residents of North Carolina, who retain theoretical ownership but allow slaves virtual freedom until they can afford to transport them to free states. 1830, Washington, D.C. The U.S. Census Bureau reports that 3,777 Negro heads of families owned slaves, mostly in Louisiana, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. 1830, Philadelphia. Chaired by Richard Allen, the first National Negro Convention meets from September 20th to September 24th at Philadelphia's Bethel Church. It launches a church-affiliated program to improve the social status of the American Negro. 1830, the United States. As a counter to the increase in strength of the abolitionist movement, a number of states passed laws restricting the education, legal safeguards, and citizenship rights of slaves and free blacks. Many states require the deportation of free blacks. Slave codes are enforced more strictly, and the number of manumissions decline. 1831, Boston. The Liberator, an abolitionist organ, is founded by William Garrison. Proclaims Garrison, "I am in earnest. I will not equivocate. I will not excuse. I will not retreat a single inch, and I will be heard." 1831, Southampton County, Virginia. Nat Turner, a brilliant and motley slave, leads the greatest slave rebellion in history. Some 60 whites are killed, and the entire South is thrown into panic. Turner is captured on October 30th and hanged in Jerusalem, Virginia, 12 days later. 1831, Philadelphia. Convocation of the first annual convention of the people of color at Wesleyan Church, where delegates from 5 states resolved to study Black conditions, explore settlement possibilities in Canada, and raise money for an industrial college in New Haven. Delegates opposed the American Colonization Society and recommend annual meetings. So with that ends today's video, but before I conclude and wrap it up, I'm going to end with the following 3 questions that I posed at the beginning. Why was this group targeted to be enslaved worldwide? And why were they made to continue to suffer? Why did the rest of the world accept this behavior? Governments, rulers, and religions. And lastly, why don't people realize the present day effects on these people? So with that, I would encourage you all to hit the like, subscribe to the channel. There will be a link in the description below that will take you to the Harriet Tubman Ross Foundation. I would encourage you to click the link, visit the website, but by all means, I would encourage you all to get involved and help Harriet achieve her dream.